Let's bring in Alon Ben-Meir, professor and senior fellow at New York University's Center for Global Affairs. We did not see a condemnation issued by the United Nations Security Council. Israel didn't focus on the linkage between Iran and Hezbollah specifically in this discussion, but rather pointed at the Lebanese government and the Lebanese army to accuse them of not doing enough to thwart Hezbollah's actions in the south of the country. Can we expect them to do more?
Not really, because Hamas forces are far stronger and greater than the Lebanese army. We have to keep that in mind. Moreover, any resolution by the United Nations Security Council to condemn or not to condemn Hezbollah is really meaningless, because the United Nations Security Council still has not shown any enforcement mechanism for any of its resolutions. So this is completely meaningless. The tunnels are absolutely intended to attack Israeli communities in northern part of Israel. There's no question about it. They are extremely sophisticated. They are stashed with a huge amount of weapons. So they are for the purpose of offensive weapon rather than defensive ones. And Netanyahu is correct. This is an act, it's a very aggressive act, and it needs to be dealt with.
Do you get the sense that he's making such a big deal out of this now because to essentially lay the groundwork in terms of PR for a possible Israeli attack into southern Lebanon? Well,
it's possible. You know, the conflict between Israel and Hamas transcends the bilateral conflict between the two sides. And that's also related to Iran. And the problem we have is, as long as, and I'm going back, which is a roundabout, as long as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not settled, Iran is making a case. So does Hezbollah. That is, if we really want to settle this conflict, we're going to have to go back to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict to disabuse Iran, as well as Hezbollah, from the notion that Israel is a continuing occupying power, etc., etc. So you have to deal with Iran if you want to deal with Hezbollah. But there's no question, if there's going to be any new violent conflict between Israel and Hezbollah, and if Hezbollah managed by a missile or rocket to kill 10, 20, 30 Israelis, Israeli threshold of casualties is extremely low. This could mean massive, and I repeat, massive Israeli retaliations where tens of thousands could die in Lebanon, not just Hezbollah. And I think Prime Minister Netanyahu made it clear. This time, if we're going to go to Lebanon, it's going to be Hezbollah will be basically wiped out.
In the speech that Netanyahu made on this day, he also, of course, in addition to talking about Hezbollah, he referred to the U.S. decision on Syria. He was cautious. He said, we're going to study it. It's the American decision. But what does it say across the region when the United States pulls out of Syria?
I think it's a very bad mistake, terrible mistake. First of all, and I can give you several reasons, the United States, after withdrawal, will have no say about the final solution what's going to be in Syria. That is, United States, United States is giving Iran and Hezbollah pretty much a freer hand to do whatever they want to do in Syria. It allows Russia to have the final say on anything that's taking place in Syria. It is making Israel far more vulnerable from the northern side. So when you look at the region, the Saudis are very unhappy, not to speak of the Kurds. The Kurds were the most loyal partners with the United States that have been fighting against ISIS. But to surrender to Erdogan, and I can tell you first-hand information, Erdogan been supporting ISIS, was not really fighting against ISIS. We have a clear evidence to that effect. So for him to submit to ISIS, to Turkey, I think it's outrageous to say the least.
So why do you think President Trump is announcing this withdrawal now?
You know, the president has so many troubles here domestically. He would like to suggest that we are winning, that we have won. Now we have a victory. We won against ISIS. It is nothing but a PR for domestic purposes, and I think it's a shame on him for using this as a ploy only to distract the attention of the American public.
Alon Ben-Meir, he's a professor and senior fellow at New York University's Center for Global Affairs. Alon, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.